Sharp from John Bosco Youth Centre.
Thanks very much. Thanks for having us here today. The St John Bosco Youth Centre, known locally as the Bosco, was established by the Drimnagh community over 70 years ago and has proudly provided services for generations of young people. We are located on Davitt Road, opposite the Drimnagh Lewis stop along the Grand Canal. Since divestment from the Catholic Church to community ownership in 1996, the centre has continually adapted and developed its services to young people and the broader community, supported by various government bodies and user contributions. Currently, our centre operates 7 days a week with a very diverse range of services and activities, including a Montessori, Merchants Key aftercare programme, English language classes, a full-time gym, a youth justice initiative for the broader Dublin 12 area, Narcotics and Cocaine Anonymous, will also be in the location of the Irish Filipino Consulate. We also host numerous sports, dance and drama groups and various other activities for all age groups. More than 500 people access our centre each day. I could talk in further detail about our history and current activities, but however today I'm here to talk about our youth work provision. Our youth work programme is a UBU funded project and consists of a small team of 2 full-time youth workers and myself as project leader. Last year we had 202 young people access our programme. Our service engages young people through a broad range of programmes and supports, including our youth cafe, structured programme groups and one-to-one supports. We've recently secured funding from the Dublin 12 Local Drugs and Alcohol Task Force to fund a centre-based art therapist. While the practice of youth work continues to evolve, the root antagonists of young people's development and effective participation in society remains the same. Familial addiction, mental health issues, cultural marginalisation, low education attainment and limited life opportunities have a pernicious impact on many young people long before their initial engagement with youth services. With UBU funded programmes limited to working with young people 10 and over, many young people have already been severely impacted by difficult life circumstances prior to navigating what's aptly described by G. Stanley Hall as the storms and stress of adolescence. Currently, one area of real concern our programme is encountering is mental health difficulties affecting young people. Navigating the world of social media has also presented challenges for many of our young people and no doubt contributes to decreases in mental health well-being. While the St John Bosco Youth Centre will continue to ensure our work is relevant and responsive to the needs of young people, there exist challenges that impinge on the quality and effectiveness of this work. Despite significant investment, the St John Bosco Youth Centre building is no longer adequate for the needs of the community. Our local community network, Dynamic Drimnagh, is currently lobbying for a new purpose-built young community facility. Our youth work programme is currently under-resourced and with just 3 staff members sustains constant pressure to meet the needs of young people. Drimnagh is currently experiencing population growth with a substantial increase expected over the coming years. It is vital that Drimnagh receive adequate resources to ensure the continued and effective delivery of services to young people. Due to changes in funding structures, the centre has over the past 10 years lost 2 full-time youth education courses and significant reduction in our after-school service. And finally, the difficulty in recruitment of youth workers is an issue affecting the sector as a whole. It is currently near impossible to recruit staff, which is having a countrywide impact on services to young people. Our service is operated without 1 of 3 posts since October 2022 due to this issue. I would like to thank you for the invitation to speak here today on behalf of the St John Bosco Youth Centre.
Anybody else want to come in on that? Stephen?
I think Lynn touched on it. I think the whole neoliberal approach to youth work and kind of measurement. And while I think certain aspects of the UBU, like I think there is a responsibility on the youth work sector to ensure kind of that we're focused and we're doing what we need to do. But I think they're missing the essence of it in terms of what they're trying to capture at the moment. But to give an example, I think of the Bosco. I mean, if I go back 10 years ago, we had an after schools programme. We had a youth work programme and we had an early school leavers programme. So we can have a young person coming in from the age of 6, okay, 7, and they can go right through till they're 18 or 19 and be engaged within the programme with the same workers, you know. I mean, I have Emily sitting here beside me. Emily is, you know, she's up in Dundalk. She'll be qualified youth worker in a couple of weeks. I mean, Emily is in the Bosco since she was 7. We've a gym, as I mentioned, that's run by a guy called George McCabe, G-Force Fitness. George was the first young person I worked with in the centre when I went there 18 years ago as a youth worker. So what I'm trying to say is that there was that continuity of service, continuity of contact, continuity of relationship, and that's being dismantled. You know, that's being dismantled as in, like, we lost a huge chunk of our after schools program. Our early school leavers program is gone. And now we function, as I said, with 2 youth workers and project leader. So it's a lack of acknowledgement, isn't it, of what we do as a sector, you know, and the importance of it in the lives of young people. And I suppose for us, you know, our work now is more kind of reactive than proactive. It's constantly reacting. It's constantly, you know, trying to kind of clean up, you know, issues, trying to support families, trying to support young people, and you know, to finish, like, you know, for myself personally, within the Bosco, when we talk about being youth workers, working with young people, it's so much broader than that. You know, in terms of families, in terms of advocacy, you know, there's so much involved in it. You know, so definitely around the resource and the recognising, you know, and maybe, and I'll definitely finish on this, that the ground starts to inform the policy. If you understand what I mean, because sometimes I look at, particularly maybe some of the national organisations, and it just doesn't seem to fit with what I see. You know, I can only speak for myself, you know. So there's a gap there. You know, there's definitely a gap.
Okay, I get that kind of bottom-up approach where your guys are here today, you're informing us, but that disconnection is there. From to get that, yeah. Fiona?
Can you? Sorry, just before you come in, Fiona, can you just stay on that for a second, because we're getting into the weeds of it now, which is where we want to go. And I'll let you back in, Fiona. No, there's plenty of time here, no problem. Just unpick that a little bit more for me, if you don't mind, Mark.
Go ahead.
Because when you talk about that gap, give it to me, warts and all. Are you saying that national organisations, statutory organisations, government departments are not getting what you're doing on the ground, or have no conceptual understanding of what it is that you're doing on the ground, and therefore there's a mismatch between policy and what they expect of you and how the funding flows and what you're actually doing on the ground? You don't have to coach your language here.
A lot of the time you would look maybe at different, whether it be training programs, you know, so you're kind of looking at the needs from a policy level is not necessarily what we're seeing on the ground, you know, and that can be, I don't know, you know, without being...
when it comes back to me, I'd say it's granted.
Yeah, you know, just, it's not like, you know, our issues are day-to-day issues. You know, trauma was mentioned, you know, young people not having enough food, violence in the home. There's all these kind of day-to-day issues directly, you know, related to the poverty, unemployment, mental health, addiction, you know, and they're functioning you know, trying to get that young person through, you know, a day, through the next day, trying to support them at this level. But then there's, you know, at a higher level, you know, there's it seems to just not match.
Stephen, can I jump in there and give a real life example?
Okay, fair enough. Stephen?
I mean, the issues within recruitment, it's been kind of coming down the road a while now. Yeah. A couple of years, you could see it coming. And I know one of the suggestions we made was, and we made this to the City of Dublin Youth Service Board, was to develop some sort of internship, apprenticeship. Because, like, I mean, if you look around the table here, like the Chair and Paul, like, for myself, for instance, I was doing youth work before I got qualified to do it, you know, and particularly, and like back then, CE schemes were a great way of people kind of experiencing the force, and I think that's not there now really. So it's kind of a lot younger people going in, doing the degree, and then coming out and maybe not even having. So I know for ourselves with a small team, you know, we need to employ someone with experience, but to have a couple of them positions, you know, around the country where someone gets a chance to go in and spend a year in an internship or 2 years, you know, is something that could start to maybe increase those. Because the other problem is positions don't come available very often because it's a small sector. So people aren't going to wait around either. You know, they're going to move into other aspects of the work, you know.
Okay, thank you. Do you want to take over?
Young person yourself, I figured we should be, if we're talking about youth work, we should hear from a young person themselves.
So, yeah, like, I'm sitting here as a product of youth work today. So, as Stephen did mention, I've been attending the Bosco since I'm 7 years of age, but now I'm lucky enough to say I'm a part-time youth worker there. So, I'm 24 now, so technically I am still in the age bracket to be a young person. But it's even, somebody mentioned the open door policy earlier. Like, I was 21, I was in limbo, I didn't know what to do. I was only 16 in my leaving cert, which is very young. So I went off and had a bit of fun and studied drama for a couple of years. But then that kind of got me to a stage where I was like, what am I supposed to do with my life now? Went into Stephen, 21 years of age, didn't know where else to go. And the first place I went to was walk through that door to Bosco. Said to him, I want to study youth work. So, I mean, sitting here today, like I even said it to Stephen on the way in, 10 years ago, nothing like this was on my agenda. Like walking here, into here today, never thought 10 years ago I'd be sitting here. Even just listening to amazing workers, like, talk about what they do and things like that. So yeah, I just...
Thank you.
Thanks very much.